So, as it turns out, about 6 months ago, I posted a video in which I asked, I wonder, with all these countries going into lockdown, I wonder what happens to people who are, say, homeless during all these lockdowns. Turns out I don't have to ask that anymore. So, after what's pretty much been the worst 6 months of my life, I have now accidentally found myself in Denmark. So, I've mentioned before that I have a lot of difficulty dealing with a lot of bureaucratic manners, and honestly, that whole issue has manifested itself in probably the most disgusting way in the last few months. I've ended up having probably one of the worst times that I've ever had to go through in my life. I've actually been homeless again for the last few months, and the way that the authorities have been handling the entire situation has honestly been making me want to cry. In fact, some of my friends have actually been genuinely worried about me because it's one of the few times I've ever really had genuine suicidal intentions, and that is scary. It's really scary. So as it turns out, I was in, I guess I would call it an abusive relationship around about 6 months ago, and things escalated to the point that I ended up having the police remove me from my own home, you know, the one that I have my name registered to. Which, by the way, is completely illegal. That should not have happened. There was no reason for me to have been removed from my home, but basically my ex just decided to fucking abandon me. In fact, not only that, but took a bunch of my money and my belongings and just decided, yeah, let's just fucking keep all that shit. So at the time, I ended up completely stranded. I was stuck on the streets with about 25 euros in my hands and just had to survive, I guess. I actually got fucking rejected from the homeless shelter. Apparently, there was a whole bureaucratic matter over, like, oh, well, you're not actually registered to this region, you've actually got to go to this region on the other side of the country. And I'm just like, look, can someone fucking take care of me, because I am about to fucking die on the streets right here with no money. But the authorities didn't really care to do a damn thing. I ended up getting rescued by a very close friend of mine who took me to Utrecht. We managed to retrieve a bunch of my belongings, and he's currently keeping them in a storage unit in Utrecht. But me, well, I got taken to Essen in Germany, and now I am actually in Denmark, which I managed to get into because I met this one guy on a Discord server, actually the one for Madrybed, if you know that YouTuber. But yeah, I just met some random dude on Discord, and he was like, well, I've got some space for you, you can come over and stay with me for a bit. And that's where I'm going to be until the end of this month, but up until that point, I have no fucking idea what I'm going to do, because I've got basically no money, I've got no support, nothing to go back to. I am just basically stranded out here, and I'm genuinely a little bit terrified. Now, I honestly don't know where to even start on explaining this entire situation, because it is genuinely extremely complicated and also quite emotional for me to go into. I mean, I probably seem like I'm smiling and such talking about it now, but I had to muster quite a bit to actually even talk about this. I wanted to say something several months ago, actually, back when this was happening, but I couldn't even like say anything about this without like breaking down into tears and well, just getting extremely emotional, I guess. I think I'll get into a lot more detail about what specifically happened in a future video, but right now, honestly, the big problem for me is that I've basically been abandoned by the authorities. Like, when I tried to get any help, they basically just told me to fuck off, essentially. The local authority where I lived at the time, which was Eindhoven, they basically were like, well, it's not our responsibility, go back to the they were telling me to go back to the gemeente that I had originally registered in when I arrived in the Netherlands, which was actually the gemeente of Meppel, which is on the other side of the fucking country. But when I called them, guess what they fucking said?
U moet naar het legerhuis in Eindhoven.
Ja, maar...
En mevrouw Major, de huisarts, weet hiervan. Nee, u moet niet bij ons zijn, want de laatste gemeente waar u stond ingeschreven u stond ingeschreven in
Nune. Nune.
Ja, gemeente. Welke gemeente is dat?
Eindhoven.
Sorry?
Eindhoven.
Ja, dan moet u naar de gemeente Eindhoven toe en niet bij ons, want u staat hier helemaal niet ingeschreven.
Maar de gemeente Eindhoven zei dat ik naar Meppel moet.
Nee, dat is niet waar hoor, want u staat hier helemaal niet ingeschreven. Nee, u moet naar het Leger des Heils in Eindhoven.
Okay.
Yeah, so even they're just sort of like, yeah, fuck off, it's not our responsibility. And meanwhile, during all of this, like, I've been trying to deal with a social worker, and that social worker didn't even give a fucking shit either. So, like, I'm basically in this position where everyone that is supposed to be helping me get back on my feet after something like this has just fucking abandoned me. And the thing is, with everything that had happened, like, it is a genuine emergency situation, and no one cares. And I don't know what to do. I genuinely don't know what to do. I've been stumped on this for quite a few months, honestly, because, I mean, how the fuck are you supposed to respond to this? It's like, you know, you've had all of your money taken away, you've had all of your everything, you had all your belongings taken away. All you really had at the time was like just the fucking stuff in your backpack, and I mean, I've got a bit more of my stuff now, but, like, it's still, like, what do? I'm trapped in Denmark because they fucking closed the borders again, thanks to Corona, and I'm only gonna be here until the end of the fucking month, and then what? I don't have any money to get myself anywhere, I don't have any support, the fucking government authorities won't do a damn thing, I can't get myself any kind of work to get myself on my feet, even if I fucking wanted to, so what do? I guess I should just fucking sit here and die. The thing is, I genuinely don't know what to do at this point. Like, you know, I don't want to just be coming on to here and being like, oh guys, help me out, I need so much money. It's like, because that's just not my, I mean, like, I do have a Patreon, and I honestly, like, I am honestly fucking astounded that people even give me shit on Patreon, because I just fucking disappeared for, like, what, 6 months or something without any kind of, and what's a little bit upsetting as well is that, on that note, I did actually have a few videos recorded that I wanted to put up on this channel, things like some continuations to my plush making series and things like that. The problem is that several of those videos have actually been recorded with said abusive ex, which makes it A, difficult to go back and and edit those without really, you know, having an emotional impact on me, but also just in general, like, I don't even know if I should be posting those kinds of things. I'm kind of just stuck out here. I'm scared. I am pretty damn scared. This is a really horrible situation, and it doesn't help that, like, there's all of this freaking lockdown bullshit and all this other, because where am I supposed to go? It's like, oh, you're supposed to stay at home. Yeah, well, bitch, where am I supposed to go? Like, that is what I was asking you to do. Like, I'm sitting there asking the government, hey, I don't have a home to stay in, like, can you fucking do something about that, because you're telling me to stay at home and I can't do that. They're just like, ain't my business. Well, then whose business is it? Because I can't do a damn thing. I'll probably put up a much more composed video later, just talking about everything that actually happened, but, yeah.
I do want to thank everyone who's been here to support me over these really troubling times, specifically Jetstream, Parkeerwacht, and Mysterious Future for either giving me money, shelter, or both. One thing that I didn't quite make clear earlier is that due to the current state of things with the pandemic, and specifically with the lockdowns actually, I've effectively found myself shut off from any possibility of gaining any money or income. I mean, the job market right now is basically non-existent, not that I'd fare much of a chance anyway, as a homeless person who can't speak the local language. So as a result of this, I'm really, like, more grateful than ever before than to the people who've donated to me on Patreon and such, even though I haven't really had much content to share lately, which is something that I've not really felt the best about. But on a related note, there are some interesting avenues that I've wanted to explore on this channel from the start of next year. For starters, I did mention some videos that I'd already recorded, which will eventually be posted. But I've also got a few other things that I'd like to try out. In particular, I've recently gotten quite interested in making translations of Japanese content. I started working on a translation for an old DS RPG game, actually, which never got an English release, despite being the third in a trilogy, which is honestly a little bit strange. I mean, the progress is pretty slow at the moment, but it's something that I do enjoy. But more notably, though, I found myself taking quite an interest in subtitling things lately, especially clips from VTubers, and I'd like to share those here, particularly from smaller independent channels. I've been experimenting around with like a few clips and such, and I think that'd be nice to showcase to an English-speaking audience who wouldn't otherwise have the context for what's going on in these moments. I might also try streaming a little bit, similar to the kind of thing that I've been seeing from many of the VTubers that I've actually been watching lately, so although I don't think I'd be making like a virtual avatar or anything. There's not really much point to that, to be honest. Given that, I mean, you all know what I'm boot at this point. But either way, it'd be a nice thing to host. I mean, whether it's just for a few hours of drawing pixel art or playing a game, or even just hanging out and chatting. I mean, ultimately, I just, in all these hard times, I really do appreciate everyone who's supporting me, and I just want to be able to produce something that I feel is worth that support. So, thanks.